So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who is Evans Dua. Evans Dua is of Ghana nationality, and he is very experienced with regard to entrepreneurship development within youth. He has worked with several youth in various institutions to accompany them and mentor them to start agribusiness initiatives. And he's going to explain to us several challenges and opportunities that exist in Africa. So if you are there, then you have the mic, Evans.
Okay, thank you so much, Joseph. I don't know if my screen is fully sharing now. Is it sharing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's a very simple presentation that I'll be doing. Basically, I'll be talking about the current challenges that we do have, the opportunities, and some few recommendations that we could all look at in Africa. So first and foremost, like Professor Aisha talked about, we know that Africa has the potential, literally, of becoming one of the biggest farming continents in the world. About 60% of the arable lands in the world is actually in Africa. And all of these ones, most of them, about 60% or so, have not been exploited. So what it means is that Africa is sitting on an opportunity to become the leading farmer or the leading agricultural continent in the world. Notwithstanding, we still have problems with food sustainability. We have problem with malnutrition. We have problem with micronutrients. We have problem with a lot of these deficiencies. And Africa is currently accounting for over 300 million of the people, of 795 million people in the world that do not have enough food to eat. Still, there's hunger issues right here in Africa. These challenges are very clear, but the key component here is that we have a growing population. Currently, according to the last report by the World Bank, between the ages of 15 to about 30 years, that population in Africa is the youth, and they are the people taking over the next generation. And they are about 226 million of them. Now, sadly, this growing population, we're having a lot of food sustainability issue because eventually we are not producing enough that we are eating ourselves. This means that Africa today, sadly, with all the lands and everything, we still do import food from other places. So Africa is one of the highest importers of food into the continent. So despite this urgent need, African crop yields have been largely stagnant. Now there's a problem here. The same land size in Africa, that same land size, the yield in Israel is totally different from the yield in Ghana, in Uganda, in Zambia, and everything. And this is because we do not irrigate our lands. Most of our farmers today are what we call smallholder farmers. And smallholder farmers are people who don't do farm as a business most of the times, but they do farming as subsistence, as a means of survival. They are people in rural areas, and as a matter of fact, they begin to just do the farming just to survive. So these challenges, Africa would need a total paradigm shift from subsistence farming into considering farming as a business. And that is where we need to move from agriculture to agribusiness. And people need to understand that agriculture now is an entire business, and we need to look at the entire value chain. So urbanization and declining interest of the youth. Sadly, when we were growing, most people were still in the rural areas. Now everybody is migrating to businesses. So Africa is having almost about 40% of the population of Africa now has been urbanized. So 40% of them. What it means is that this number keeps increasing annually. And eventually everybody's looking for a white-collar job and nobody's getting to the farm. There's also land tenure systems and access to land titles. Now there are so many young people, they want to farm. They don't have access to the lands. They don't know the land tenure system, whether it is a lease system they are going for, whether it's a land title system, whether it's for rental. And these are some of the challenges that we face. We don't have an enabling environment. Financing agricultural sector has been very difficult, but these are the challenges. But amidst these challenges, there are also opportunities that we can look at. And I want to summarize the opportunities before I detail them into a very simple thing. Everyone must eat and drink every day to stay alive and perform. So what it means that all of us having this discussion today, the panelists, the attendees, every single person would have to eat, would have to drink in order to stay alive and perform. What that means that the importance and significance of farming and agriculture and agribusiness and food sustainability, it is something that cannot be understated. For this reason, some of the opportunities that I think the youth in Africa can engage in is that one, we can provide farm advisory services to farm-based organizations. Now, this is something that people have not seen. Recently, a Ghanaian in the year 2019 won an award in Dubai, the Zayed Sustainability Award. And what he did was that he developed a software that is able to advise the farmers about the climate changes. Now, the problem is that the farmers don't know when it's going to rain and when it's not going to rain. Now, his software was able to detect, when it's going to rain and give the weather forecast. So the farmers were able to prepare for themselves. Now, he was using an AI system that allows the farmers to be able to have this information downloaded and not need internet 24/7 in order to use. Now, we can represent equipment MFG and such as tractor and harvesters and irrigation. There are so many equipment companies that the youth can represent them. So we have in Ghana, we have tractor. So what they do is that they rent tractors to farmers. They bring machinery to the farms, and these are very young people. I know most of them. We can represent global fertilizer and seeds manufacturers as retailing, because it is an entire value chain. When we talk about the agribusiness, we shouldn't talk about farming alone. There's an entire value chain. The value chain is involved with the growers, the smallholder farmers, the retailers, the exporters, the seedling group, the manufacturers, the inputs. All of this value chain, we need to position ourselves. We can do post-harvest, example of business to reduce post-harvest losses. So I had a group of young guys that I mentored, and they are doing something very special. They realized that post-harvest losses are becoming huge in Africa, in Ghana to be specific. So what they decided to do is that they arranged for what we call ready demand or off-takers agreement. So the maize farmer, the cassava farmer, they go to the person, the smallholder. They said, okay, you are farming. You don't know how to sell. You don't know how you're going about it. I will take it upon myself. I'll go and market your produce for you. I'll get to you to the brewers and the distilleries. I'll get to the Unilevers and the Nestle's who need the Cerelacs and the milk. I'll get to them. I'll talk to them. I'll sign the contract, and you also just deliver me your product. So these young students decided to do off-takers agreement for farmers, decided to get ready demand for farmers, and it's been working, and it's really reduced a lot of cassava losses. You can move into livestock. Livestock in Africa now, but you go into pig, you go into cattle, you go into goat. All of these things are doing well. Fishing now, we have catfish, tilapia. So a colleague banker who just quit his job, he was working in one of the prestigious banks. He quit his job, and he is into tilapia and he's into poultry. And last, that was in the month of February, just before the COVID, he put a post that I would have loved to share because of time. He said how I made my first 1 million Ghana cedis. A million Ghana cedis is an equivalent of $200,000. Now he had made, in terms of returns, $200,000 by leaving his job just under 2 years, and he's just doing poultry, and the poultry is doing the layers. In Ghana, there's a quote that we say that eggs are never enough to be bought. Eggs are always on demand. So he's doing layers, and he's doing tilapia, and he's doing catfish, and he's been very successful for his past 2 years. And he had to quit his job as a banker and move into it. We have oil and edible medicinal ones that we could look at it. So the last one, because of our time. So the recommendation are quite a lot, but the first thing is that we need to learn to increase productivity by catalyzing the development of effective input distribution systems and reduction post-harvest losses. That's the example that I gave. We need to engage the youth, because you see there's something that is happening in policy making. Most of our policy, they are making the politics without including the youth. We need to engage the youth in policy making and decision making. We need to also create an enabling environment. So the government should come up with policies, should come up with financial support systems, should come up with tax holidays, a free zone policy that would enable the young people to also see farming and agriculture as very, very attractive. We need to also catalyze flows of capital, both commercial lending ones and private investment in order to scale up our agribusiness. Ensure transformation delivers on broad-based needs of Africans by ensuring inclusivity, sustainability, and effective nutrition beyond what the markets may deliver. Now, we need to also get into research and development. Africa has a problem. We are not spending so much money in research. We are not spending in seedling. We are not spending into research and looking at which crops will give us higher yield. So we need to look at the entire farming system, the entire agribusiness, and look at technologies that could be used. So because of time, I think this will be a brief presentation, and during the discussion, I'll share more. Thank you so much.